that?
Well, see, the thing with Putin is that their naval fleet is there on the Black Sea, and you have to go through Crimea to get to it, and they shouldn't be trying to block him off. Simple as that.
Right, and like when all those countries like Bulgaria, Kazakhstan, Tajikistan, they all became independent after the 89 fall of the Iron Curtain. A lot of those countries made it on their own, like Tajikistan where my ex-boyfriend lives, but a lot of the countries still needed help. Like Bulgaria changed a lot after 1990. They used to have guaranteed housing, guaranteed work, and then after it went more democratic, it became a worse place to live.
Well, the same thing with Libya.
Really?
Guaranteed housing, education, all those things.
I know, and people laugh at me when I say I like Gaddafi because I read an article about him after he was overthrown, and the dollar was secure. Their dollar was secure back then. They had guaranteed housing. Gaddafi built housing for everybody. They had jobs, and they knew they had economic security. And then we said we were wiping out a inhumane government. Well, the only inhumane thing they did is shot down that plane in Lockerbie. The Libyans did. But I'm sure the United States is behind certain amounts of terror, too. Okay.
It's not the U.S. people. It's the leaders like your Schumer, your Adam Swift, and those like them that came before them.
Okay, I'm going to call Suzette now, so hold on a sec, okay? Just hold on.
Hello.
Hi, me and Bianchi are on the air.
Okay.
Can you talk? Suzette's on the line now, Bianchi.
Hello, Suzette. How are you?
I've had trouble with her phone while I'm on speaker. Suzette, hopefully you can answer us. Suzette? Okay, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna give her my land phone, and I'm gonna have her call my land phone. Okay? So, okay, hold on a minute. Suzette, we can't hear you, so I'm gonna call your land phone. I'm gonna call you from my land phone, okay? So just hang up and I'll be right there. Don, are you still on the air?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay, you can start talking now while I call Suzette.
All right, guys. I heard that you had it for a second, but something went wrong. But yeah, no, we're going to be heading to New York for a more or less director's meeting for her, and so we'll see what we can talk about in terms of what's going on with some of these issues nationally. But we're not. I'm almost sure we're not going to worry about Gulf of America or the Panama. Pan America or whatever they want to name it. We're not going to be worried about that right now. We're worried about domestic issues that are affecting federal workers, affecting unions, affecting teachers, affecting everybody who's got a job that has to do with some kind of governmental entity. So there's a lot to do, a lot to digest. The judges, the courts have stalled a lot of this stuff. So everybody is in kind of like just floating mode. We're in wait and see mode. I'm out at my work. When I do my job, people are saying they don't know where this next economy is going. So we're in a real weird situation because stability is the best thing for the economy. But yet, if nobody knows what is going to be the baseline, then we're kind of in a tizzy, and we're leading the world, and we lead the rest of the world. Who knows what? So we got a lot of work to do, but we're going to be making sure that I'll make sure the West Coast is represented, at least in some of these talks, because basically everything is East or South or Midwest centric. So we're left out, and we've got a lot to say. So, Nevada's pretty much the richest state in the country because not only the minerals and the things we have, but also because we're one of the only two corporation states that corporations can get incorporated in. So we have all of their titles, headquarters, monies, fees, things like that. So licensing.
All right, Don, what do you think federal employees should do? And
No, they need to protest. They need to get out and fight for their rights because these programs, most of them are funded by Congress. This is all congressional based. Most of these things, the president cannot just dissolve a federal agency. So that's one of the things theoretically, they cannot.
I was trying to explain to Bianchi some of the legalities of what Trump is doing, but let me check something. Suzette, are you still on the line or did you hang up? For some reason, are you there? Okay, anyways, so one of the things that I think she hung up and is going to try back. One of the things that Trump is trying to do is you can't do everything by executive orders. There's limitations and there's purse strings. For example, Elizabeth Warren said she's going to fight back all the U.S. aid that's being cut off through Marco Rubio's department. It's going to be some of those people need medical and food supplies and different
What people?
Like Africans who need HIV help.
That's not Americans' responsibility.
Yeah, but it's
USAID was in charge of appropriations. They are $508 billion in the red in those appropriations. Some of those appropriations are over 40 years old. What are they sitting there for?
Well, John F. Kennedy started it in the 60s. So
I don't care who started it, Jane.
It's been around many years.
Look at all the corruption and all the mismanagement that have went on with USAID. It's nothing more than
You can't just erase it all, though. You can't wipe it out.
I have a friend, Don, who made a career in USAID. She said, yes, he's exactly right. She was in Haiti during the earthquake. She was in New Guinea during the problems that was there. She said it's exactly correct. And also the records show it. The receipts show it. But everything is corrupt. That's what I'm saying, Pierre. Well, yeah, so everything. These white people. I would deal with a $508 billion corruptness before I deal with a $15 corruption, would you? They're both corruption.
Bianchi, are you talking on your cell phone or your land phone?
I'm on my cell phone.
Oh, it's a little gargly.
Now white person. They're mostly thieves. That's why the legal system is so huge, because they're always litigating problems that mostly come up with, if you're talking about white collar crime and district courts, they are worried about the white collar crimes, federal courts. And so you've got so many that these lawyers and judges are getting fat. That's why.
Don, have you read the book?
The is up $1 million, $2 million, $5 million for a person who scalds their tongue. That's
all right, Don. Have you read the book Dead Aid by Ambisha Moye? She's a Zambian. She worked for the World Bank. And she, in that book, said that the aid that Africa has got in the last 50 years, I guess you could say it's about 60 or 70 years now since the book was written, she said it needs to stop because it doesn't do what it says it's going to do.
None of it does.
Wait.
That's what the federal government has been doing ever since the dawn of time. It's a sieve for the white man.
It ain't no sin for the white man. Blacks been doing the same thing.
But no,
Black nations do the same thing.
Bianchi, though. Wait a minute. I almost joined the Peace Corps. Are you trying to say that every federal program overseas?
American money. None. Zero. The percentage that black Africans who are thieves and federal monies that have been given to
you know what?
Less.
You know what? You can't say that a black African country they thieves. You know what? You can't say that.
Why?
Because it was getting rid of their riffraff to the east. The trans-Saharan trade 1,000 years before they met a Portuguese.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. We're spending on countries.
Suzette, you're on the line.
I ain't gonna argue with that. I'm not gonna.
You guys stop.
We are the biggest, fastest, strongest, smartest on the planet.
Suzette, you're on.
125. We're new to this game. Once we learn the game, we're gonna fuck everything up.
So, well, let me tell you something, Don. And you swearing, James said that you should not swear. If that's the case, why did they get rid of them? Why did the African tribe get rid of those that ended up,
Because that's human nature is human nature.
You get rid of things that's no good for you. If you wasn't no good for you where you came from, how are you gonna be of some good going someplace else? It don't work.
No, it does work.
Suzette's.
That's what education.
Don, can you?
That's what education is all about.
Don and Bianchi. Suzette's on the line. Can somebody say hi?
Hi, Suzette. No.
Hello.
Let her talk. Let her talk. You male-dominated sports boxers. Just a minute, Suzette.
Male sports boxing. That's what the Constitution was written for.
Okay, Don, go drink your bottled water a minute. Okay, Suzette,
Okay.
the first time you called in, I couldn't really. It was crackly when I called you 2 hours ago. We can hear you now. So, Don and Bianchi, one or the other, can you tell her what you're talking about? Boys.
I'm talking about Don and claiming that black people with black skin is supposed to be all this super smart, able to develop, build on. Well, they got the intelligence has no respect for skin color. And when you look at those that have developed, they did it maybe in primordial time, but they ain't doing it now.
Not in America, but in Africa.
They're not doing it in Africa neither.
We're starting to take over England and Germany.
They ain't doing it in Africa
neither.
neither.
Over all of that.
You know one thing?
We're supposed to.
When you can stand up and walk to your light switch and flip it, something happens positively. Over there, even today, in areas, it don't happen. I've been there.
Made by black men. The light bulb filament was made by black men.
They don't. All the receptacles are made in Europe. They're not made there.
No, nothing's made there because they're digging the earth up and taking every mineral.
Earth? Oh, man, get out of here.
And they're killing every species of animals that we know of. The only only time we're going to be able to see a saber-toothed tiger is when we go to the Arizona Zoo. Yeah, that's what you deny that's happening, that we're just killing.
Well, first thing, Don, Africans would tell you. You know what Africans would tell you? My wife, she would tell you, Don. She would tell you that, Don, you are not an African.
Oh, no. And I'm glad. I am the one who is migrating America. I am the centerpiece of the new American. And so I'm able to pretty much make my own way, in my case, without the help of any negative forces. And I can, right now we're on our way to New York to see the big wigs about what's going on with the nation. And, the board of directors meeting, Pat's board of directors, who will be there for the next 4 days, listening to Derek Johnson and everybody else preach their spiel. But we have our own agenda. We're going to make sure the West Coast is represented, and that we'll be at more or less the top of that, the West Coast, as it pertains to national affairs. So that's one of the things that I'm putting together, and whatever everybody else is putting together, God bless them, good luck, or, Allah, whatever you want to call it. All I know is that I'm taking care of this business, and I have nobody can stop me, and nobody can. So it's just the fact. It's just what I feel, what I dream, and the pathway that I've taken and set up. I've already laid a good foundation, and everybody in the country knows who I am, and these the organization. So why not just it's my time to shine, stand up and take the reins and tell everybody what they should know. And it's just a natural occurrence. It's just something Bianchi knows what I'm talking
Okay, where does the real power lie? Because the billionaires, they think they have endless power to do whatever they want. The little guy is going to fight back, but how far will he get? And I'm going to defer the question to Suzette.
Well, it's just a matter of taking back the power. I mean, there's always ways around everything. And that's more or less how we got here. In the position that we are, our economic state, and so on and so forth. When you have a lot of NGOs, and you have people that basically have given up because they figure, well, what good does it do to start my own business? It's just going to be, vaporized through regulations and everything else. But you have NGOs, you can ask the same question about NGOs as far as, is it about we the people, or is it about the specific group that is pushing and influencing for specific laws that I may not agree with or that I totally don't support? But because this group is making noise and paying the politicians aren't about we the people. They're about who pays the highest dollar, to go out. And many of them are their colleagues from previous Congress sessions. So, yeah.
You kind of sound like Wade. Like, you kind of sound like Wade in government regulations that he worries about.
Mm.
So, have you seen anything in the news this week, Suzette, that's upset you? Either the backlash on Elon Musk, the mass immigration protests in Houston, LA, New York, and also overseas in Britain, even in Slovenia, and in Germany, they had mass protests. In the overseas protests, it was against dictators and oligarchs.
Okay, well, that's good. That's good. Especially if they're citizens of that country. Basically, the mass protests that are protesting deportation are just making themselves look bad and basically, inviting people to hate them, Americans to hate them, because before it was like, okay, you guys just don't belong here because you came here illegally. We don't hate you. We understand, you want a better life and all this, and that's great. But you got to come here the legal way. So we're going to send you home so that you can begin that process or whatever it is that you need to do. Okay, but now since they're out there protesting, blocking the freeways, blocking the roads, flying their Mexican flags, that they supposedly fled from because they built, they weren't safe to live in Mexico. They're, flying their flags. It's like, all right, so is that Mexican pride? I mean, I don't understand.
Well, there was a city councilman in LA when I lived there in the early 2000s and also the late 80s. He was in a Mexican group called La Raza or something, and he was affiliated with a Mexican group that wanted to take California back over. And he was very popular, and I have to look his name up, but I can't right now. But,
yeah, I remember that, and some of the people were shouting La Raza at the protest too recently. But yes, that's true. That's true.
And the thing about them is that there are so many Latinos in LA. Like a third of the population is Latino origin, whether it's Guatemala, Mexican, El Salvadoran. And many of them came over illegally and then just became permanent residents, but not all of them. I'd say probably over 75% of them never got their legal papers. So for them,
you know what La Raza mean, don't you?
Something about rising up.
No, it does not. It means the race.
Okay, well, needless to say, they're there, and they. There's also a quote by Mexicans. The border didn't overtake us. Something like, we didn't cross the border overtook us, or something, like, meaning like they never changed the boundary lines for when the original Spanish ruled, but the boundaries changed us. It's a famous quote. I'll have to look it up. So in other words, they think that land is their land no matter how they got there. Period.
Well, that's a shame, because they're going to have to figure out who they took it from so that those people can come and claim, that the Indians and natives that were here before the Mexicans, before Mexico existed.
Well, it's just, there's so many of them, though, you guys. The INS cannot kick all those people out. It's impossible.
No, not really. I mean, let's put it this way. If ICE had used a test that our immigration laws have required for citizenship, which is to be able to speak the language, English, read and write proficiently in both, and be able to cite some, answers from the civics classes that they had to take. And if they can do that, then they can more or less prove that they've gotten citizenship, or if they have paperwork. But if they can't do that, they can't even speak English, to put a sentence together. Well, there you go. They don't belong here.
Well, the LA Welfare Department, the county welfare department, has over 26 languages that you can, when you call in, you can push 1 for English, 2 for Tagalog, 3 for Spanish, 4 for Somalian, that kind of stuff. So even to get benefits, you don't have to speak English.
To do anything, it's all having to push this number for that language and that number. We've been accommodating them, which basically says they've been too comfortable because they don't have to. They say, we got to do these things, but you know what? No, I don't.
And even in the school, like the schools are responsible for assimilating anybody from a foreign country. And they have to have someone from a country as an employee to help them transition their language.
Yes, that's resources that should be going to other things. Absolutely.
Right. So
we can't just leave them out in the cold. I've mentioned this before, maybe in your podcast, but I know definitely in others that while there are wrongful doers that just hate Americans and want to do what they can to take what they can from Americans while they're here illegally. And of course, others, that were given the promise of a better life from these NGOs, organizations that have basically opened the door for them, paved the way, flow them over here, house them, and all this. And so if you're promised this, and because people are telling you, we're going to give you this, you're going to do that, and you're going to have a better life. Wouldn't you like that? And they've got a family, so hell yeah, I would like that. Sign me up.
In Southern California, go ahead, Bianchi.
Immigrating to this country because you want a better life is not a reason to be able to stay here. You're supposed to add to the country.
I agree.
If you accumulate assets while you're in the country illegal, those assets should be seized. They was seized while you was performing a criminal act. You're not supposed to work. Don't they do that to drug dealers?
Sure. But I agree with you on that. I'm just giving the flip side of the argument as far as, these people, because the Democrats and NGOs and whoever else helped out to get them here, were told. It wasn't, that they said, I'm going to Mexico, I'm going to drag my family over there, or I'm going and leaving my family here and sending money back for a better life. These people were promised a better life. They were told, it's better for you, it's better for your family, we can do that. And so when they got here, they did get that. They were given the credit cards, given the hotels, given everything. And then it was basically they had their legs swept out from underneath them, because now it's like, well, we were only doing that temporarily, so now you're on your own. And even though you can't work in this country, and we brought you here because we tricked you, and that's not our problem anymore. So I got a meeting to go to. Bye. So I mean, and it's sad. It is really sad that those people were used that way.
I have a couple examples, Suzette. Like when I was married to Craig and we lived in an Armenian neighborhood in Hollywood, they got all the kind of benefits: housing subsidies, food subsidies, child care, food stamps, blah, blah, blah. Well, then one day, one Armenian guy in my building lost his job. So there's no way they were going to make it. And he didn't know what to do. And he came to me. I didn't know. Back then, I didn't know nothing about welfare, because I didn't have to go on welfare until I was 37 or 38. So just the thing is like, I do know Mexicans who came over here on foot and they made it. One of them, my friends, is a PhD fellow at UCLA. She works in the geology department. Her parents came over here with nothing. A guy I dated from Mexico came over here without shoes on, crossing the border, and now he has a construction company. So the thing is that I don't think Donald Trump should deport every migrant worker that comes over here for 4 months a year and goes back, because people were joking on the internet, who's really going to fill those orange picking and fruit picking jobs? It's probably not going to. It's not going to be mainstream Americans.
Machinery is doing it. Here's another thing: that guy that Mexican that started the construction company, he hired Mexicans.
Yeah, he did hire his own people, but he wasn't the kind of guy that would only be privy to his own people. He'd be open-minded enough to hire someone else.
But at a lower rate, they'd have to all get the lower rate.
And he depended on his Chinese. He actually was married a Chinese woman who was stable, but he cheated on her, and I didn't know that when I dated him, that he was actually married still. It's just one of those things. But the fact is that he made it. He figured out a way to make it. He just didn't stand on a corner with a sign, day work for me or something like that. So I'm sure there's other people who made it too, but let's say there were 4,000 Polish people with bachelor's degree trying to get over the southern border. Do you think Trump would be quite as mad?
We need to put Americans to work, Jane.
Okay, well, in the San Joaquin Valley of California, where thousands of migrant workers worked, it's going to be pretty tough if they kick them all out.
Well, they have machines now to do the kicking, but to your question about Polish scientists or intelligent people, they wouldn't actually be coming through the border illegally, and if they showed up, they would be given an application for a green card. Those are people with special skills or education. Don't come illegally. They have a pathway for those people.
Yeah, that's true. And then I have one more question for you guys. Don, are you still there? He's probably eating ice cream. So
That sounds good.
if Trump wants to go all the way to Gaza and rebuild, why can't, I know Trump's against this, but why can't 5 or 6 prominent countries, like I know some of our auto workers are in Mexico and they build plants there, like why can't they build up companies in Mexico so many people won't want to cross the border, where they can establish jobs there?
That first negotiations that Trump had with, it's not NAFTA anymore, but after NAFTA expired, he did do that as far as work that into the deal. And there were some car companies that went over there. I think Ford was one of them.
Ford is one of them over there. I know that for a fact.
So he was, kind of encouraging that, but it was in our interest because there were going to be a small tariff charge, but it was still going to be less for that company to operate in Mexico. And that did help. It slowed down immigration some because they were able to make a living wage if they work for those companies. But, we don't want to send all our manufacturing out to all these third world countries.
Yeah, like I just don't, there just seems to be so much upheaval in the world. And now, like, let's just say that Trump would go into Gaza, and I'm not against them flattening the earth and removing all the concrete garbage in, like just all the wrangly buildings that are like just stuck there because of the war. I'm not against him going to help, but I am against him kicking out Palestinians on their own land. I don't think that's fair. Because it's their land and they've lived there thousands of years. Even before the British came in with their Balfour Declaration in 1917 to Israel, like there were Christians living in Palestine. It wasn't just all Muslim back then. It was a variety of Philistines in the Bible were Palestinians. So traditionally there were a lot of original people there that were not religiously charged.
Right. And you're right. Before anybody else got there and before that treaty was signed, and when it was basically, okay, so England and mostly England.
It was too, the Allies, sort of the World War I Allies.
We told them how they were going to live and how it's going to be split. They're like, wow, who are we and who's England to tell?
England did go in there with a heavy hand. Now, I think it was signed in 1917, but it didn't become effective until 48, I think. Or I'm sure some people moved down there in between, some Jewish people, but Israel didn't become a state till 1948. And I'm not sure everything that was going on in Palestine at the time. So let's just check if Don's still on the air. Are you there, Don? Well, I think he muted himself because I can't see on my phone how many callers I have. So has anything else bothered you guys in the news this week?
The only thing that's bothered me where I've had to just tune out was they get a hold of one story and then they all talk about it. Even on YouTubers, they're all talking about the same thing that the news media is putting out. And it's like, wow, they used to be interesting channels, and now just you can't find a channel that has something original. They're all talking about the Super Bowl and what happened with Taylor Swift
and Kendrick Lamar singing "Not Like Us."
Right. And so they grab onto a story and then they just, beat it to death until something else comes along and then they move on. And so I just
Guess what I saw the other day, Suzette?
What's that?
It was Taylor Swift sitting down. She was in casual clothing, and someone like changed her mouth movements with an AI speech saying like, "Well, I'm not giving Travis Kelce any tail tonight," and she made some kind of remark about Kendrick Lamar's performance, something about the political end of it. And just you could tell by the way the speech was formed, it wasn't her.
Yeah,
But
in that performance he put on, there was no white people. Now, if Trump or anybody tried to do that, it'd be holy hell raised.
Did you know the redneck Republicans were commenting on Twitter and Instagram like, "We don't like this kind of music. We don't understand what he's saying."
I don't like it neither. I don't know what I wouldn't let my kids listen to it.
that one dislikable lady from Colorado, what's her name again? The one that was accused of making out with a guy in a movie theater? Laura something.
You can just flip a coin, whichever way.
It's a Republican who did it. She was naughty in the theater.
Lauren Boebert?
Yes, her. She made a comment like, "We don't understand this music. It makes no sense to us."
Okay.
Then they had Serena Williams come out there and do some kind of dance. And it was supposed to be a political message of some sort. And then the song "Not Like Us" is a direct slam against Drake, and that how Kendrick Lamar thinks he's involved in the Diddy scandals.
Oh boy. Everything's political now. You can't even watch a Super Bowl game. Not that I was going to watch it anyway, but
I watched the first half and it was a disaster. Kansas City, they played so bad. They played
racism signs up on the wall, and he has a performance. No whites allowed it.
Well, maybe that was his choice. Whatever dancers he wanted.
Well, if it's whites putting it on, wouldn't it be their choice if they didn't want no blacks?
Well, usually in shows like that, like when Madonna did the Super Bowl, like she had CeeLo Green in there, and she had a variety of artists of different colors. Like usually there is a multicolored group of singers.
I'm talking about the one, and I didn't watch it, by the way. This is what I heard. They racist.
Well, I saw a racist post on Facebook by my friend Billy Brook. He had a picture of Patrick Mahomes on one side and Jalen Hurts on the other, and saying it wasn't a good day for light-skinned black people.
Well, those are individuals that's doing that. We're talking about something that's organized. Many times it's government sponsored, like DEI. Look at the head of FEMA that got fired because she gave $59 million to house illegals in elite hotels in New York, whereas people in North Dakota from the floods, they still sleeping out in the elements.
I heard about that. Well, why did she get fired?
Because Trump told her not to give any money toward those illegals in those hotels.
Well,
they just want to do what they want to do. They don't listen to no laws. They don't listen to.
So in other words,
they need to be.
So she didn't obey Trump?
And take their pension.
Okay. I feel like I hear something muddled in the background. Is it Don? Gallimore, talk. Okay, anyways, Trump has been firing a lot of people, but a lot of the people... Hello? Are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, well, just either join or don't join. We can't keep looking for you.
My name is not Join.
Your name is the Ice Cream Bandit, and you're probably eating ice cream.
Not yet.
Okay, I want to know, like, can Trump fire people on the spot like that?
Yes. They're wrong. If you walk into a room and you're having sex on the table, you mean to tell me you got to go through a whole bunch of courts, trials, and procedures before you fire somebody?
Well, speaking of firing, I heard that the FBI, whoever has a crackly phone, straighten it out. Whoever, those FBI guys that were fired, I heard there was a court order that they can't release the names of who they're gonna fire because it would be a security risk for the FBI people.
Well, if they're gonna be fired and not be in the FBI any longer, what the risk is they gonna be regular citizens on the street, and then they're gonna apply for another job, their names are gonna be out there.
Well, what if the Confederate boys or whatever that group was called under Trump, I can't remember, the Poor Boys or something. What if they go?
The Black Panthers.
No, I'm talking about the white racist group that they had a name in the 2020.
They said the Poor Boys, but they're not just white.
Why do they gotta be white and be?
I'm just saying somebody might get a harebrained idea to go after someone, just like they went after certain judges they didn't like.
Well, I tell you, they do the same thing in Chicago every week. Blacks go after blacks and kill them.
Well, that's more of a territorial thing, right?
Oh, you come up with all kind of excuses.
Well, whites kill whites too. It's not like Don was talking about human nature before. Blacks
kill and rape 3 times their numbers in society. Matter of fact, it's more than, because if you got 13% of the population, that means 6.5 male and female. And of the males, you probably got about 3% that's doing all this killing. And they doing 38% of the killing. That's 10, 11 times more. 12 times.
They're coming from a place of poverty and struggle.
Well, that's a good thing because they're culling some of the weaker of the population, and now our birth rates are going through the roofs. Even though we're killing babies at a high rate in Planned Parenthood and everything, we're still fucking. And that's what you're talking about.
Don't swear.
Okay, so, all right. We're still making love. And that's what it's all
JD
about.
Vance wants my baby.
My baby pardon?
JD Vance wants my baby.
JD Vance is a baby. That's another story.
Okay,
but,
I was just going to tell you guys next week we're doing it on Spreaker because in order for me to preserve 14 years of my podcast from BTR, I have to join Spreaker. And plus, half you guys don't have a normal cell phone. It's guttural. The noise on our speaker phones it's starting to get swampy.
I have my headset plugged into my phone.
You're clear as a bell, Suzette. Bianche's mixing Chilean with his phone or something. And Don's is pretty good too, so I'm not going to complain about his tonight.
Well, unfortunately, Spreaker does not have live broadcasts anymore. You can load your podcast onto Spreaker, but there is no live broadcast or chat room anymore.
Are you serious?
I am serious. It was a heart attack.
Well, this is Did you guys know how barbaric my method is right now? I have a cell phone. You guys all call in. I gotta merge your calls. So unless I buy an iPhone, I think that I need to find a method to have, like, there's a way on Instagram for you guys to come in like the Brady Bunch windows and everybody, we can see each other's faces and talk. So I'm going to look into different methods of broadcasting.
That'd be a good idea.
And by the way, this also cripples me. I can't change screens on my LAN computer because if I change screens, then my whole podcast goes silent while I'm on another window. So I don't think we've been talking 58 minutes or so. So we're only going to go 5 more minutes because none of us has a specific topic besides the fact that I think in the worst of times, I think, or the best of times, no matter what Donald Trump is trying to accomplish, he's doing too many things at once. He's going too fast. And a lot of people think it's some kind of distraction technique. Like, not even the news media can keep up with everything he's trying to do. And they're tracking Elon Musk like crazy to see what buildings he's going into and where he's allowed to go and where he's not allowed to go.
Ding, 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 ding. You just hit it right on the head.
And
all of this is a distraction for him to start sipping money into his pocket. So that's one of the things that's going to happen within the next 2 months. So Elon is going to be able to open up some kind of transaction where there's going to be just who knows how much money.
Well, car sales are done. Tesla sales are down worldwide 40%. People are boycotting Elon Musk vehicles.
Exactly, but there are various reasons besides blowing up. They also have too much software, too much tracking, and it's basically a car data center on wheels. It takes care of every metric that you have, including where you sit in your favorite position. So, there's something to say about Rivian and all the other car companies that don't have quite the Volvo and they don't have quite that kind of tracking software. So that's part of it too. People are realizing that there's some inefficiencies in being too efficient.
One of my friends saw a SpaceX launch from Phoenix, Arizona today.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, she's a nurse and she was driving home from her shift and she put a picture on the internet of the launch. She could see it in the air.
Cool.
I have one last question for Bianchi Donnens, who's at, are Mark Zuckerberg, Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, and the other tech guy I can't think of, are they all really all behind Trump, or are they just showing face because they don't want retribution?
Probably a little of both.
Yeah, because
retribution. It's hardening of regulation.
They're supposed to be for America. Where else in the world could they have achieved what they achieved? People say Elon Musk was not elected. Well, Fauci wasn't elected. Soros wasn't elected. And another thing, his position is a legal position that's been around forever. His position has
never been around.
Doge is a brand new department.
His position is a special government employee. They've been there forever. Henry Kissinger was one. Armand Hammer was one.
Henry Kissinger was the not the national security advisor, but he was a top diplomat hired through traditional means.
Have you ever heard of Henry Kaiser? Huh?
Yes, I have.
Henry Kaiser, his company made the Jeeps that was used in World War II. He made the frigates. They put out a B-17 every day. That there in itself was a milestone. Henry Ford was a special government employee.
All right, but you know what, Bianchi? Congress has the purse strings. And they did not create the Department of Government Efficiency. It was created by Trump.
Executive, and he can hire who he needs. Franklin Delano Roosevelt. He went to Kaiser, and he went to Henry Ford, and probably some others. Those guys that they brought over to help with the rocket program, they got paid.
And Jack Smith, he wasn't appointed by Congress. Merrick Garland appointed him as special counselor. So, but
Ronald Reagan
Elon Musk goes, he serves at the pleasure of the president. So
I'm saying is, like, a lot of Americans are just knee-jerk reacting right now, and their knee-jerk reaction is that Elon Musk was not elected for anything, and they find by him going in the federal treasury or whatever office he invaded, they're scared.
Yeah, with good reason, because they were just rubber stamping these checks to go out. They call for a budget. Congress would give it to them because they said they needed it for this.
Well, it's my Social Security. I'm on Social Security now.
It's not no national security. You know, another thing that his software has the ability to do, his technology, it can trace checks. Matter of fact, it can trace $1. It can trace $1 bill that they give you and tell you every place that where you got rid of that dollar at.
Right.
So that's what they're afraid of.
Mm-hmm.
I have a
thing is
okay, go ahead,
they were
Suzanne.
giving the money too, as far as giving these grant money, they're being exposed for all the stupid stuff that they were financing, and so they that's what they're mad about, is because we can't have him looking into any more stuff. He hadn't exposed blah 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 yet, so we got to do everything we can, jump up and down and scream and make all kinds of noise as to why he shouldn't be looking at these records. He's not legal. He doesn't have a what do you call it, a classified clearance for that stuff, and so they're trying to shut him down because basically all this stuff is being exposed of where our tax dollars have been going. I mean, you know, we find these things out after the fact, after it's already been gone. So maybe we can do something. Congress will have to do something in order to stop it from continuing.
Suzette, I have a question. What about my friend Harry Sisson? How about all the really outspoken people on X and Instagram who are against Trump? Are they eventually going to get censored? Because Elon Musk owns X. So do you think there's ever going to be retribution on the dissenters?
They sound like a damn fool. Maybe just some kids need to listen to him so they can know what a fool sound like.
Yeah, but Elon Musk, his mantra was to have free speech no matter who you are. So do you think eventually there's going to be retribution and some accounts are going to be eliminated?
No, if he was going to be censored and shut down, then he would have done it already. He's fully aware.
Well, one person who goes after Trump every day is Rachel Maddow. She can't stand Trump, and I recently found out she's a Stanford graduate. And one reason she got hired by MSNBC is her ability to retain knowledge.
Her ability to retain BS. Propaganda.
Well, she talks so fast, like you can't even keep up with her half the time.
And most of the time that she thinks that she's got him in a gotcha moment, as far as look what I found out about this or that, and then it turns out she was wrong.
Well, it's right now everything's changing daily. Like, I guess there are some federal lawsuits in court that are gonna challenge Trump on some of his actions, but that could take months. Let's face it.
And even years. Obama did that when he came in. He started doing this and that. I mean, I was getting whiplash from all the things that he was doing by executive order, and as far as shaking up the government in order to,
that was all.
On his promises, because he wanted to change America foundationally, and he was doing it. And even though he knew darn well that the things that he was doing was not constitutional, and he's supposed to be, constitutional scholarly, what ended up, he knew that he was going to get tied up in court, so it would do the damage it needed to do until the courts stopped it and said, "You can't do this."
So one thing he tried to do is, which was legal, is Congress helped too. Is somebody's whistling? Bianchi, are you spinning a spoon in the oven or whatever the hell you're doing? Anyways, Obama went after the bank regulation thing because of the Wall Street crash of 2008. So there was new bank regulations established, and Congress the Senate put some of those restrictions in order. And he had to deal with a lot of economic fallout when he first took office.
Well, here's the thing. Judges have no business trying to make laws. They can get, if somebody filed a lawsuit against an action, they'll due process. But you can't let it linger on for years.
Congress are the lawmakers. They create the laws.
Judges do not have the right to make laws.
Okay.
All they're supposed to do is referee. That's it.
They're supposed to interpret the law, the judges.
They interpret the law to see if it's constitutional.
Right.
Yeah.
At first I thought you meant the Congress.
I didn't say the Congress. These judges are completely out of control, James.
I know it's called, I took a class on it. It's judicial activism, where they go beyond the threshold of their institution to enter the political causation, and they end up becoming subjective. They're supposed to be neutral moderators deciding between this or that. They're not supposed to be activists.
Absolutely. You're absolutely right. Mm-hmm.
Just like you got Franklin is trying to file an impeachment charges against Donald Trump and Booker. You see how stupid that sounds? See how stupid that sounds? So why are they trying to hamper what the American people?
Because they think they find him too outrageous. They disapprove of his. They don't think Trump has a command of federal authority in the sense that he knows the limitations of departments within his executive branch, and they feel like he's always pushing the margin. And
that's all right. Better than what they do. They're the reason why come things is messed up. Why would you waste taxpayers' money with an impeachment, you dumbass?
Well, it's too early to try to impeach someone. And furthermore, he's a lame duck president. He can only serve 4 more years. So
if you run Congress, and maybe they would amend the Constitution and say he could have another term.
Well, I don't think he should, because he's too old and he's very disruptive. He's not a...
Yeah, he disrupts the status quo.
Yep.
Damn right.
You know what? I don't think he's fit. I'm not going to go into it because I have my own opinions, but just let him do his 4 years. Let's see what the country looks like after that. They've already decided a long time ago that it's a 2-term limit. Now someone like Joseph Broz Tito in Yugoslavia served 40 years, but every year he made the country better, and it was under different conditions. I think 8 years is enough for a president, because we have to preserve constitutional integrity. And the problem with Trump is it's more of a cult of personality, and he doesn't know his own limitations. He's constantly pushing the envelope. He doesn't really know the true side effects of everything he does.
I think Congress needs to have their term limits as well, because they are also part of that corruption that, as far as more than 2 years.
Approval rating.
What's that? Say again?
Elon Musk's approval rating is 23%.
What is Trump's approval rating?
Let me look it. I'll look it up.
70%.
That's a bunch of bullshit. Okay, I just broke my own rule. I swore.
Bullshit.
Gee, Don, you got a chance to swear. How exciting.
I swear too.
Because
He's at 53%, and he was at 47 when he left his first term.
Right, he's on 43.
his right now today it's 53%.
Yep. I just said.
It's still the majority, but
But it's better than it was when he left office. It was 47.
I would like to know something, you guys. If you guys both majored, I have a master's in political science and a bachelor's in public administration. Can you see how for someone like me it's so irritating that someone comes in and they think they can rearrange everything and bend the rules? You can't just
Think about a black person.
you can't just blow up departments and just
don't even know the rules.
what?
Don't even know the rules, and then y'all expect us to be fucking really nice people? Hell no, we coming to get everybody. Black
They
people.
smarter than you. It's people like you that's got to let things run astray the way it's messed up now.
Nope, I have complete discipline. You guys
Ain't nobody talking about you. I'm talking about Jay.
Why can't someone like Hakeem Jeffries start rolling punches out?
His uncle was a staunch racist.
He already has.
I know he's one who wants to impeach Trump. They need to get some neighborhood bully in there to fight back with Trump.
And then they bring the U.S. Army against him? No, hell no.
They're just used to having presidents who are content with being the status quo. Go along to get along. And when somebody doesn't want to go along to get along, they get in a big hissy fit and an uproar, and then they make it seem like the world's coming
That's
to
when
an
they
end.
get fired.
Well,
Fired.
back when Tip O'Neill was the Speaker of the House, both sides of the aisle worked together to achieve, like rhythm and communication and accomplishment. Now everybody's out to make a name for themselves. The fringe
That's because
people.
we had a peaceful president at the time.
Marjorie Green or whatever her name is when we have like offshoot people like that who just want celebrity status, it's kind of hard to deal with. We need people who are humble and direct. Like Elizabeth Warren is right on the mark every single time.
She's a big liar.
She's not a liar anymore. If you go listen to one of her speeches on Instagram, her and Bernie are like the most upstanding lawmakers in the country.
Oh boy. Well,
Bernie,
not to compare
go
your
ahead, Suzette.
studies, but back in the days, as far as 1770, before we
Wait,
became a
Don.
country, and then after we became a country, people who were running for president and in the Congress, any type of government official, they went and attacked each other. They were pretty bad. They were actually censoring each other from newspapers and stuff like that. I mean, they were very statesmanlike as though they're portrayed today. Today, it was like they were so humble, they were so scholarly, they were so, they had command of this and that as far as their disposition and so forth, but they were not. When you read the Federalist Papers and you hear the things that had gone on in these sessions, they were pretty brutal to each other, making up stories as far as the whole.
They used to publish. Suzette, they used to publish opposition statements in newspapers.
Yep. And if you were president, then you tried to censor them. But they were talking about their, as far as this person is cheating on his wife, and we don't want that type of person. I mean, they were just really deep. And so they were pretty brutal to each other. They weren't calm and humble.
We should go back to the way that print news instead of the social media where everybody's on blast and they're lying all the time. I'd rather go back to having to get it from my Pony Express riders and having lies told about me through the social media where people are committing suicide because they can't take it. These people here are they're so weak. People now are sissies. Everybody, men, women, everybody is sissies. And it's really sad to see because that's not the way God made us, and that's not the way it really should be. There's two genders, no trans, all that bullshit. And these people are just pulling wool over your eyes thinking that we're one side or the other. We're polarized. We're not. We have just different ideas for certain things, but most of us agree that there are universal truths.
When in the 1800s, a Southern lawman brought a gun into the Congress rotunda and shot somebody. I'm trying to find out his name. Yeah, so it was in the 18. And then another guy who was really unpopular, he became president either right before or right after Lincoln. There was a lot of controversy surrounding him, and his son got killed and thrown off a train on the way to the inauguration with his mother. And that kind of shut up all the dissenters for a while after that happened. People felt sorry for him. I don't have all this in front of me, but I just remember.
Was that McKinley after Lincoln?
Yeah.
Yes.
It was somebody who his wife. I thought he was president another time, and then he went back again, and his wife didn't want him to be president. She wanted to stay home in Pennsylvania and just be a housewife. But
I'm pretty sure McKinley.
Yeah, they were forced to come to the inauguration, and on the way, the train hit another train or something, and the boy got thrown, and he got killed, and it was their only surviving child.
Oh my gosh.
And then one time, a senator got killed in a duel in September 13th, 1859. Sometimes the senators and congressmen used to fist fight each other. So next week I'll have some of this stuff ready next week. I'm trying to look it up on my phone. Okay. Either way, like mankind has always been hard on each other, but I do think that from 1850 to like 2000, society in general is more civil. Like if you look at the way people dressed in the 60s or 50s, like women wore traditional clothing, men wore hats and suits out in public. People loved the government. They respected the president in general. Even if they didn't like the president, they're not going to like make attacks in the street all the time. So I'm sure there was like dirty dealings in Chicago, regarding getting Kennedy elected and blah, blah, blah. But in general, people were more respectful than they are now.
They had more public messages on TV too at the time in the 50s, and they encouraged as far as being conservative, dressing, and so forth. In the 60s, they were burning bras, and anti-war. They were that era was not very conservative.
I agree, and like even Richard Nixon pulled a stunt when he was running before he became a vice presidential candidate. Back when he was a congressman, he put out a big lie about his opponent, and that's how he won. He won through people's sympathy and mass lying. So it wasn't maybe so physically brutal, but there was still dirty politics.
Well, do you think it's right that Illinois allowed illegals to change their name?
No, I don't think that's right because it's confusing enough. Well, that's kind of what happened to that roommate I had for a while, the Canadian Jamaican. I was looking through all his court papers, and his real name was like Dwight Reed. And his mom had no papers on him from either Jamaica or Canada. And his current name is Sorrel Archilla. and the INS couldn't even deport him because they couldn't find his birth certificate in either country. And then there was some kind of rumor he lived on one of the Virgin Islands and his real name was Dwight Reed. So it was all pretty crazy.
You change it more to an illegal name, foreign name, basically.
And then I was trying to get the cop to help me.
You can find somebody and get him out of here.
I found his whole life story just on the internet. It's a good thing he had an unusual name. It was Cyril Archilla instead of like Christopher Brown, because I would have never been able to find out info on him. It had been a common name. So somebody was whirling something earlier. It sounded like they either had ice cream in a blender or they were making food. Who was that?
I am not guilty.
Martians.
Were you doing it, Suzette? You and
After I speak, I will usually mute myself.
Oh.
Noise.
Okay, well, we're going to end the show now just because we talked about a variety of different interesting topics. So next week, can each person research one thing about something that either happened in the federal government or in the army, or like in my political science class, we learned about Samuel Chase, the only Supreme Court justice that was impeached. Like somebody bring an original history story to the table. Okay?
Yep,
All right, I'll bring myself to the table because I'm the most interesting person anybody knows.
Okay, you're going to be in New York at the NAACP.
Yeah.
I'll put your name on the list of people I want to have dinner with in my lifetime.
You can answer the question if you had one person if you ever wanted to have dinner with. Would it be Abraham Lincoln, Albert Einstein, or Bill Clinton? No, you can make up your own person. I'm making a joke because that's a common question people ask like in an interview.
Why, I'm the most interesting person I know.
That's why I said I'll put you on my dinner list.
No, but Jane came in and explained, with the whole explanation. I appreciate that, Suzette. That's all I wanted to say. And then Jane just said, out in left field. But yes, thank you, Suzette. I'll be down in about probably 4 or 5 weeks.
Okay, can you guys hang on 1 second? I want to answer this one question.
Okay, because
I think it was President Fillmore whose son was killed on a train. I think his name was some Milfred Fillmore or something like that. Oh, it was Franklin Pierce. Franklin Pierce.
Fillmore III.
All right, can you guys listen? I got the answer. The Franklin Pierce rail accident was a train derailment in the U.S. near D.C. on January 6, 1853. It resulted in the death of Benjamin Pierce, the only living son of the president. And one thing that I thought was karma is Franklin Pierce did not want to end slavery. He still believed in segregation and the labor system in the South. So I thought it was kind of like that Taylor Swift song, Karma is a Bitch. That if he wanted the blacks to suffer, but then his own son ended up dying. Now that's kind of rotten of me to say, but it was just a theory.
Well, karma is a bitch. Sad, but true.
Okay, well, everybody who's
Everybody was black people dead, so just remember that.
Everybody who's not like us, go listen to a rap song tonight.
That's what you're listening to is the King Kendrick Lamar. He's going to be your god one of these days. So.
I heard he.
We'll be singing Wang Chung tonight.
All right, good night, everybody. Bye-bye.
Good night.
Bye.
Good night.